get on and spend that money to make roads like May Place Road East safe to drive on.
So this is a local Conservative council telling him not to point out potholes in case they have to fill them. That's outrageous, just like the record of the last 14 years. Mr Speaker, we know how problematic, dangerous and costly potholes are to drivers. That's why we've delivered record investment to maintain our roads and fix potholes. That's £1.6 billion, Mr Speaker. That money has been given to councils, but it comes with strings. So my message to reinforce this is clear to the council. Use the money, fix the roads, show how you're carrying out repairs, or lose the money because it's councils who get on with the job of fixing our roads. And I'll make sure the Road Minister follows up with him.
Ellie Jones.
Given that the TUC has calculated that the wealthiest 10% of households in the UK hold more wealth than everyone else in the country put together, does the Prime Minister agree with me that it is inequality, not immigration, that is a threat to our country?
Well,
Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, we need to deal both with the levels of immigration and with inequality, and that's what this government is doing. And as we get on with trying to boost our economy, can I gently point out that if we want more equality, if we want our economy to be stronger, their party needs to start voting for some of the measures that will make it necessary.
Michelle Walsh.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In March 2022, I gave birth to my son by emergency C-section. Both my son and my life put at risk by a failing maternity service. In Nottinghamshire, we know failing maternity services far too well, with harm caused to mothers, babies and fathers. Over 2,400 families involved in the Donna Ockington inquiry. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that grief must be the engine of change, and where previous governments has failed, it is imperative that this government transforms maternity services so that every birth is an informed birth and every birth is a safe birth?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I extend my gratitude to my honourable friend and for all of those who spoke for their powerful and moving stories in the baby loss debate, I think, on Monday, Mr Speaker. And I can assure her, I was actually at the Pride of Britain Awards on Monday night, and very many people came forward to me having heard some of the speeches from this House, particularly the personal testimonies. And so those stories really did have power in making the argument. We do need to fix what needs fixing, so we'll fix the maternity services, improve safety and make sure every mother is heard and gets high-quality care, Mr Speaker.
Mr Speaker, my constituents have so many questions they'd like to ask the Prime Minister, but I'll settle for one today. Can the Prime Minister define when grey belt is really grey?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, let me give a simple example. We had an example of green belt, which was in fact a car park where building didn't take place, a non-green belt, which was an open playing field where building did take place. That doesn't make sense to me, and that's why we've got the policy we have.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. 12-year-old Millie Blair from Oundle, who joins us today in the gallery along with her mum Gemma, her sister Jessica and her dad Gordon. On Millie's 11th birthday, she was diagnosed with a rare bone cancer, which led to her leg being amputated. Millie attends Prince William School but cannot access the lower playing field because the slope is too steep. Her parents, the school and I have asked the East Midlands Academy Trust to put in a ramp. They've refused, claiming they are not subject to certain parts of the Equalities Act. Would the Prime Minister agree with me that the Trust has an absolute moral obligation to make these adjustments so that Millie can have full access to all of the school so she can play and thrive with all of her friends?
Prime Minister.
Can I just welcome Millie to the gallery? She's looking down, as I appreciate the members opposite can't see it, but she's smiling down with the courage and positivity that I know is everything to her, and we absolutely salute that, and we're humbled by it. In relation to the decision, Mr Speaker, I really do find it hard to understand how a school trust could make a decision like that in relation to the ramp. And rather than, as it were, berate them from here, I would just implore them on behalf of, I think, everybody here, and Millie in particular, to just look again and please, I hope with the endorsement of the whole House, to reconsider that decision, put that ramp in, and match the positivity and the courage that Millie has shown all of us. And I thank the honourable friend for raising this campaign.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Times has reported that local elections across the country will be delayed for a second year in a row. The leader of my local authority, Surrey County Council, has had to go on record to say that he hasn't called for elections to be cancelled, but other Conservatives clearly have. Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister give me a cast-iron guarantee that my constituents in Woking and others across the country will not lose their democratic right to vote?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him for his question, and he knows we inherited a situation where local councils were underfunded and millions were wasted on duplication. By reforming the system, which is what we're doing, we will save money and reinvest it in improved public services. In Surrey, just in response to his question, we expect the elections to be in the new unitary councils, and we'll be setting out the planned timetable very shortly.
Alan Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Central to growing our economy is delivering major events that drive footfall and investment. So does the Prime Minister share my disappointment that since Reform took over the running of Durham County Council, they've slashed funding for Durham Pride, which brings in 20,000 people a year? So they can't cope with accountability, Mr. Speaker. They have cancelled the Lumiere Festival, which has brought nearly 1.5 million people into County Durham since it started, undermining businesses, undermining the communities. Would the Prime Minister agree that if Reform can't run one county council, they certainly can't run Scotland, Wales, or our United Kingdom?
Well, he's absolutely right to point out, as voters in Durham can see, what you get if you vote Reform is total chaos and broken promises. Mr. Speaker, councils have a vital role in our communities, and it's not just Durham where Reform are doing real. I think 4 councillors in Kent have just been suspended for bringing the party into disrepute. I mean, bring the party into disrepute is quite something for a party whose Welsh leader accepts Russian bribes to spread Putin's propaganda.
Sir Ashley Fox.
Mr. Speaker, Western Hospice Care provides an invaluable service for my constituents with a terminal illness. The hospice now faces an increased bill for national insurance charges of £139,000 a year as a result of the Chancellor's jobs tax. Now, the Prime Minister will know that the money he's announced for capital expenditure can't be used for day-to-day running expenses. He will know that the money he's announced for children's hospices won't benefit Western Hospice Care. So what help can he offer Western Hospice Care as they struggle under the tax burden imposed by his government?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're putting in the support that we can for hospices, and of course the money that we've put aside at the budget for the NHS is absolutely crucial in relation to that. The NHS was underfunded for 14 long years. We've now put the funding in to allow the NHS to do the work that it needs.
Julie Bibb.
Mr. Speaker, December will mark the 10th anniversary of the Storm Desmond floods that devastated my Carlisle constituency and forced thousands of people from their homes. Despite promising us new flood defences, previous Conservative governments left them unfinished. With climate-related rainfalls forecast to increase in the North West over the next decade, does the Prime Minister agree with me that the climate change sceptic policies peddled by some of the parties opposite are both reckless and dangerous? And will he assure the people of Carlisle that this Labour government will defend our great border city?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, she's absolutely right that the Tories left our flood defences in their worst state on record. And we, of course, are building them up again, investing over £10 million to protect homes and businesses. And we've delivered over 150 flood schemes in our first year. And I want to see this progress even more rapidly. My honourable friend is a superb champion on this issue. We provided £300,000 to complete the feasibility study for stronger defences in her constituency.
Chairman Hall.
Speaker, as last week's urgent question highlighted, Jehoots, the pharmacy non-provider, is effectively de facto bankrupt and possibly even insolvent too. Last week we discussed at great length the impact that is having on patients securing their prescriptions. It is now becoming increasingly evident that staff, whilst being told by HMRC is being told by Jehoots they're being paid, are not. Lana Gulston and Blake Horwood in my constituency haven't been paid since the 18th of July. They are resorting to the kindness of friends and the support of food banks to make ends meet. The Minister, the member for Aberfan and my steg, is doing fantastic work to try to drive forward modernisation of the regulations. But this is now impacting the work of the Department of Business and Trade, HMRC and DWP. Could I urge the Prime Minister to convene those three departments alongside the DOHSC to secure a better deal and a fair deal for patients, but also for those who are currently employed and trapped in employment, not released by being made redundant, but are not being paid?
Well, can I thank him for raising this really serious issue, as he's done on a number of occasions, because it affects constituents of his, but also across the country. And it's simply unacceptable that customers and staff have been so badly let down. I know he will be meeting the relevant minister, but just let me update him here and now in a couple of respects, because officials are currently reviewing whether the Integrated Care Boards and the General Pharmaceutical Council need additional powers to address pharmacy businesses that do not play by the rules, and I think that's exactly the point he raises. That could include powers for the councils to go after business owners in addition to the pharmacy professionals. There'll be more detail when he has his meeting, but I thought it helpful to give those two indications.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker. Well over 1,000 youth clubs have closed in this country since 2010, with a huge negative impact on our young people. This is despite the fact that youth clubs have had a long positive history in this country for helping young people to mature in a healthy fashion. In particular, FAB clubs help disabled and non-disabled people to build friendships in an inclusive environment. The FAB charity are here in Parliament later today to gain support for their work. So can I ask the Prime Minister to commend the work that they do, and can I also ask him to consider how best to support the youth club movement to help the next generation of young people grow into well-adjusted adults?
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for his question? He's a credit to his community. I know firsthand he's done so much hard work to help heal, to rebuild and to look to a brighter future for Southport. Can I welcome FAB Charity to Parliament? They do fantastic work, Mr. Speaker, to help break down barriers. And I'm proud that Labour is backing our youth clubs with £30 million of grant funding, doubling the numbers of youth hubs and providing a youth guarantee with earning or learning guaranteed for our young people. Our national youth strategy will be set out in the autumn.
Rebecca Smith.
Mr. Speaker, last week I invited the Prime Minister to match the Conservative pledge to scrap business rates for our high streets. However, he declined. Instead, he pointed me towards the small business strategy. Since then, businesses have been in touch to tell me that this strategy will make little or no difference to their future. With 14,000 high street businesses expected to close this year alone, and with retail businesses in my constituency facing a doubling of their business rates, when will this Labour government deliver on its commitment to reduce business rates, given that they are unprepared to accept our policy of scrapping them altogether?
Mr. Speaker, our small business plan was drawn up with small businesses. I sent her a copy online. I hope she shared that with the 3,000 small businesses in her constituency. They show what we're doing. Well, we're reflecting what they asked us to do before they shout rubbish. This is what they asked us to do. £1 billion of additional lending to small businesses, £3 billion extra for small businesses to scale up, dealing with late payments with the biggest reform for 25 years.
Alex Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Britain faced peril in World War II, Winston Churchill took a radical step. He changed the clocks to shift extra daylight into the evenings. As the clocks go back this weekend, Would the Prime Minister take a look at the evidence on trialling Churchill time again to cut carbon, reduce bills, improve road safety, boost the hospitality industry, and be the Prime Minister who will brighten up all of our lives?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank her for her question, and we'll look at the relevant material.
Thank
you, Mr. Speaker. Many in Glastonbury and Somerton are forced to travel hundreds of miles to see an NHS dentist, or suffer in agony, or fall into debt to pay for private treatment, or turn to DIY dentistry, like Jennifer, who extracted 2 of her teeth over the weekend. They simply can't wait for the consultation on the broken NHS contract. Mr. Speaker, they deserve immediate action. So will the Prime Minister outline what measures he's taking to end the dental desert in Somerset for good?
Prime Minister. Well, can I thank you for raising this, because added to the list of shocking things the last government left was the shocking state of NHS dentistry, broken like everything else under the last government. In relation to her question, we are rolling out extra urgent care appointments. In Somerset, Integrated Care Board is expected to deliver over 13,000 extra dental appointments this year, and I'll give her more details in due course. We're also reforming the dental contract, which will shift focus onto retaining NHS dentists.
Final question now, please, Tuttle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ahmed Al-Ibrahim was only 16 years old when he was fatally stabbed in Huddersfield. His life was cruelly taken away in what the police described as an unprovoked and motiveless attack. On a visit to Netherhall Learning Campus in my constituency last week, I know how important this issue is for young people. So will the Prime Minister commit to redoubling efforts to tackle serious violence and knife crime through more visible policing, stronger prevention and investment in youth services?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for raising this devastating case, and my thoughts, I'm sure those of the whole House, are with the family and friends. Through our crime and policing bill, we're increasing penalties for the illegal sale of knives and giving police new powers to seize knives likely to be used for violence or cause harm. We've also launched a coalition to tackle knife crime, to bring together campaigners and community leaders to tackle the root causes of knife crime and help protect the next generation.
From benches, change over.
So then I was born in a refugee camp in Tanzania. Who has walked this road with us? So many people ran there. A lot of people were going there, real refugees. After being butchered from the civil war that erupted in Congo, my parents applied for asylum to all the countries. They waited for something safe. They waited. Now, then I was born in that camp, the same camp. I'm talking never been owned by the politicians, by the elites. So thank you so much. Because we're living in a world where headlines are shaped by propagandas. We're living in a world where narratives are created by a politician's agenda. So staying true and telling you the honest truth isn't just hard anymore. It's becoming radical. And we've never taken a penny from any corporation or political party, because we understand that journalism should never be funded by the elites, should never be funded by politicians. Journalists should only be accountable to the people they serve, not the people that they meant to question. But staying independent comes with a lot of cost. It means no more access, no access to fancy meetings, no access to big donors. So we're choosing integrity. We're choosing morals, and we're choosing to put stories in front. And trust me, that's a cost I'm willing to take. That's why we need you, not just as donors, but as people, as defenders. As people that believe that truth isn't a luxury, it's a right. It's a right that every single person in a country deserves to get. And if you've been watching the mainstream media lately, I'm sure you've felt a quiet rage when you see a story.
Original draft AMPS. We'll get to the same point in 18 months, with the process completed by the end of 2026, showing our commitment to delivering progress swiftly but also robustly. When we say we back the builders, not the blockers, we mean it. But this is not a blank cheque. Expansion at Heathrow must minimise cost for passengers and customers. The taxpayer must not be expected to foot the bill. That is why the scheme will be privately financed, both the core project and the related infrastructure improvements. Extra staff and passengers must be able to get to and from the airport without turning the M4 and the M25 into Europe's largest car park. Crucially, the expansion must align with our legal, environmental and climate commitments. Starting the review of the AMPS is critical to delivering expansion and will provide the basis for decisions on any future planning applications. The world has changed since the last AMPS review in 2018 and when it was designated at that point. New environmental and climate obligations have been introduced and patterns of travel have changed. Stand in pretty much any UK airport this summer though, and you will have seen the busiest summer on record. We could put our head in the sand and pretend that this isn't the case, but we would be doing a disservice to our economy and the next generation. That is why, in carrying out this review, we will consider how any proposed scheme must meet 4 clear tests: that it contributes to economic growth across the country, that it meets our air quality obligations, that it is consistent with our noise commitments, and crucially, that it aligns with our legal obligations on climate change, including net zero. We will seek the independent opinion of the Climate Change Committee, and I will be writing to them shortly to request this advice. Whilst a third runway at Heathrow has been factored into Carbon Budget 6, it is right that we update our modelling and seek the views of the CCC. Given the national importance of Heathrow, we will also consider naming the airport as critical national priority infrastructure, in line with our approach to low-carbon energy projects. We are further considering whether to name a statutory undertaker as an appropriate person to carry out the project under the Planning Act of 2008, providing additional clarity to stakeholders and the local community. It is clear that this is a large and complex programme that requires a thorough and evidence-led approach. Over the coming months, my department will develop analysis on economic and environmental impacts of expansion. We will also undertake an appraisal of sustainability as required by statute, alongside a habitats regulation assessment and other necessary technical work. If amendments are needed to the AMPS as a result of the review, we expect to consult on an amended policy statement by next summer. Communities will be able to have their say, and we will shortly publish an updated stakeholder engagement approach to ensure transparency and fairness throughout the process. Madam Deputy Speaker, earlier this year, we invited potential promoters to submit proposals for delivering a third runway at Heathrow. 7 proposals were received and were considered by officials from the Department for Transport, from the Treasury, and expert financial and technical advisors. Following this assessment, 2 potential schemes remain under active consideration: a proposal from Heathrow Airport Limited and a proposal from the Aurora Group. We know we must provide as much clarity and certainty for communities, investors and users of Heathrow as soon as possible. So we are seeking further information on the 2 proposed schemes with a view to reaching a final decision on a single scheme to inform the remainder of the AMPS review by the end of November. When making this decision, we will consider the interoperability of the proposed scheme with its existing infrastructure, the plans for transport to and from the airport and associated road schemes, the land take and impact on surrounding homes and communities, the evidence that the scheme can be privately financed, and the economic benefits of the scheme. This government is committed to moving quickly, but we will also do this properly. To deliver the scheme on time, The Government is also pressing ahead with a series of enabling reforms. The Planning and Infrastructure Bill will streamline the delivery of major infrastructure, including Heathrow. This includes faster consenting routes and more proportionate consultations. On judicial reviews, we have announced that we will work with the judiciary to cut the amount of time it takes for a review to move through the court system for national policy statements and nationally significant infrastructure projects. We are establishing the UK Airspace Design Service to deliver modernised airspace. This will initially prioritise airspace design for the London region, supporting both Heathrow and the wider network. This will also make flight paths more efficient, so planes spend less time over London. We will initiate slot reform to ensure future allocation maximises benefits of an expanded Heathrow, as well as approved growth at Gatwick and Luton for passengers, local communities and businesses. Expanding Heathrow will be one of the largest infrastructure projects in the UK. Rigorous and effective cost control will be essential to its success, both in minimising any impact on airline charges and costs to passengers and in maintaining credibility with financial markets. The Government will therefore work with the Civil Aviation Authority to review the framework for economic regulation for capacity expansion at Heathrow, ensuring the model provides strong incentives for cost-effective delivery. We expect the CAA to publish a working paper in November, with a view to this work completing next summer. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is a landmark opportunity for Heathrow, for the aviation sector and for the UK economy. The Government remains fully committed to ensuring the expansion is delivered in a way that is timely, cost-efficient and environmentally responsible. I commend this statement to the House.
I call the Shadow Transport Minister, Richard Holden.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I'm grateful to the Secretary of State for her statement and also for advanced sight of it. Mr. Speaker, this statement should have been brought to the House months